Okay, pair of boots brought in by our customer Paul over there, and these are lovely uppers. Let's say that to start off with. They're a lovely colour, aren't they, Paul?
Yep.
Lovely colour, lovely uppers. This is typical of what we would call a fashion boot, and typical of what is made in Spain, Portugal and Italy. Lovely leather. It is a nice leather upper. When we look inside the boot, and that's where we see the real construction of the boot, and we pull the insole up and we see that we have this Conti board, cardboard down there. It's like a pinky colour where my finger's pointing down there. So these are made what's the word? Blake stitched, that's it. Blake stitch construction, which is good because generally we see these and they are just bonded, but I think this is actually stitched, Blake stitched through. We'll have a quick look inside there. Oh, I can't see that that is Blake stitched, so that might just be pretend stitching on there. We will get them on the last and give them a pull and just see if this stitching is actually going all the way through, or if the stitching just goes through the sole and then the sole is bonded on to them. So these belong to our customer Paul, who is wearing some great boots at the moment. Just go down there and have a look at those fabulous boots. He has a lot of boots, and just get his face in. That's it. There you go. Look, just Paul, tell me.
I need a cup of coffee.
Tell me why did you buy these?
I bought them for my daughter's wedding.
So you bought them for a wedding, and with the idea of what? Of all the things that you could have bought, the price was right, the colour was right.
They just look good. They look the style. I like stylish boots. I actually like sort of a lot of Italian sort of made boots, but dare I say it, they tend to be junk. Yeah. They're not. I've said that, yeah.
No, you can't say that though.
They're not very well made.
Right. What we say is there's no such thing as a bad shoe or boot. There's a bad price for a shoe or a boot. Is that fair? Can we say that? Yeah. So that if you're paying, if you said to me you'd paid £500 for this, you'd want your arse feeling, because it's just crackers. But if you tell me these were a couple £100, I'm all right with that. 200, 250 quid is absolutely fine. Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah, and that's what you got.
I have paid £500 in the past for boots that still had cardboard soles in them.
Right.
There's a pair there. That's them and there.
Yep. This is another pair of Paul's boots. And what make are these?
They're Smith's American.
Smith's American.
An Italian brand. And I sent them to Brian the bootmaker in Torrance in California to be resold.
Right. So it's an American brand, but made in...
it's Italian brand.
Italian brand, sorry.
American name.
American name, right. And so right. So it's come from Italy, and this also has a inside the cardboard insole. You can't see it very well, but trust me, that's so the cardboard insole. When we talk about the cardboard insole, that's the structure of the shoe, what the shoe is made on a proper shoe that would be leather, and it would have a ridge bonded to it, and then it would all be stitched together to the welt, and makes for a really nice construction of a shoe or boot that we can repair time and time again. These are more bonded construction. We've got a compressed cardboard, fiberboard heel stack in there as well, which is typical of what we see from shoes that come from Europe, the rest of Europe. But that's not, we're not knocking all shoes that come from there. There will be pockets of places and factories where they make great shoes, some fantastic shoes. What we're talking about is generally shoes that come from Northampton are all welted shoes, Goodyear welted shoes, and are generally great shoes. Generally, shoes that come from Europe are cemented construction, or they might be Blake stitched if you're lucky, but they will have a cardboard fiberboard insole, and they will have this type of heel stack, and they are fashion shoes and boots. Nothing wrong with them at all, as long as you're paying the right price. When Paul says he's paid £500 plus for a pair of shoes that aren't really well made, he should have stuck to the golden rule, which is buy English. And I know this is going to upset some people, but that's just the way it is generally. I say this about cars. I'll just put this into context with cars. If you're going to buy a car, buy a German car. Porsche, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen. Great cars. The Germans make great cars. You could buy Ford, Vauxhall, Citroen, Fiat. You could buy... But the man who drives an Aston Martin, or the man who drives a Bentley or a Rolls Royce is going to argue that point, that the best cars come from Germany. But generally, German car manufacturers are better. Am I right in saying that? Would you agree with that? Yeah. And that's how it is. So nothing wrong with these boots that are coming in from Europe. They make millions of them. They really do. Millions, tens of millions of them every year. And if you're getting them at the right price, nothing wrong with them. And yes, we can repair them. Paul's going to have these stripped down, full rebuild. Yep, lovely. And just see what we can do. We are limited with what we can do with them, but we can do something with them to make them better. Okay, so we've just had these boots over to the last, and I could see at the side of one of them on the inside it was just starting to peel back a little bit. So I got the pliers on the other one, and it's just cemented construction. The stitching that you see here just goes through the sole, and then this is a mock welt that's stuck onto the sole, and then the whole thing is brought together. This is the cardboard fiberboard insole that the shoe is constructed on. That forms the shoe. This is the upper, and we have a toe puff in there that keeps the toe in shape. This will be the lining here, but all this is cardboard construction in the shoe, and that's generally what we see. Nothing wrong with that construction really, as long as you haven't paid over the odds for it. It's absolutely fine, isn't it, Paul? Yeah, a little bit of looks like it's stitched. Yeah. Put it on there on the last and just give it a tug. Now that would eventually come loose anyway, wouldn't it, without me pulling on it? You know, this one just started to creep back a little bit. They don't look like they've been heavily worn, but it's just an age thing where the glue will eventually go off.
It must be harder to stitch sole like that though than actually stitch it to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be, yeah. Like Paul says, you know, to
make it a lucky like.
Yeah,
be easy just to stitch the boot to it.
Yep. Okie dokie. Yeah. Come on round here. We're just having the conversation with Paul that you want to see him, don't you? Paul. They love you. They want to see you in the videos.
Grumpy Paul for?
Because you're an artist.
Piss artist.
Right, come on. You've just put that shoe together, and I wanted a video of it. Oh. This shoe here belongs to a chap called Paul. We've just been looking at it on the counter. I've got that.
Peter.
Oh, this is one. Yeah, you did earlier. So what you're going to do there is use Paul's. I pulled the shoe apart. Paul's glued it all back together. The construction of this shoe is an upper on a last. Are you getting me? Upper on a last, pulled round the last, and then a sole that's been pre-stitched is glued on. We see a lot of that construction, but the chap said, Paul, who they belong to, said he'd paid 250 quid for them, which is bang on the money. He's now paying another 150 to have them converted into Commando. So he's having this Commando sole. So how can you put that great big heavy Commando sole onto that fashion shoe? Talk us through it. Your people want to hear you.
No, they don't.
So
we've used his original sole.
Come in, because the microphone's here and we're struggling with these microphones.
So we're going to bond that onto there, and then I'm going to Blake through the whole thing. In an ideal world, you'd Blake that on, and then you know, for water tightness, but I don't think the guy goes fishing in them. So, you know, the wax thread that's going to seal the holes should be all right. You know,
Yeah,
shouldn't be a problem at all.
right. But
Like I say,
so
he's not
so
going fishing in them, is he?
you've left the original sole on. This is the original sole.
Yeah.
You're going to use that now as the midsole.
Yeah.
Yep, great, lovely. Okay, so we've
The
got
only
that.
other way would have been to you know, create a welt, but there's no need when we can use this already.
Yeah. So if you'd replace that with a wider welt, blake that on, then you could have outsole stitched that on. That was an alternative way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been down this path before where we've blaked the original sole back on, created a midsole, bonded the Commando on, and then outsole stitched it because you've sort of created a welt there. But you risk the chance of this decorative stitching that's in the top of the welt. I don't know if you can get that.
Yeah, because that's a mock welt.
Yeah, you risk the chance of pulling some of them stitches out and it looking horrible.
Looking an arse. We've done
Plus,
that.
you know, you'd have 2 rows of stitching as well, which don't look very nice. So,
No.
like I said, I'd sort of go down the path of I'll channel a groove in so we can get a nice line of stitches, because you can't get a nice even row of stitches on the blade machine like you can the outsole.
Look at that. Once you get him started, can't show him
Uh,
up. Heel stacks. These are the heel
So
stacks over here.
we'll
Shall
put
I-
a channel a groove in it and blade stitch it on.
Yep, they were
And
the
then
heel
obviously-
stacks, compressed cardboard heel stacks that
Yeah.
were on.
Yeah, these
Yep.
are not going back on. I just leave them so I know the actual size of the original heel. So then we can put a brand new leather heel stack on. I ain't got one handy, but a brand new leather heel stack.
Right.
Shape it down like we did in the video
So
yesterday. And
this is the stitch track round the outside for stitching these on. What are you going to do? Because that is quite narrow. You can just machine this a little bit to make it fit
well, we
nicely.
can do, yeah, and you never know. But I've had a look already, and I might be able to get away without it. But
And how good is that boot going to be when you've done all this to it? It's just
it's going to make a good boot of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to make a cracking boot of it.
and the style, the look of it, you know, with the suddenly it's gone from being a fashion sole like this, irrespective of the construction, it's going to
Yeah,
be
it's gonna
all
make it
stitched
look
together, but it's going to look
all
lovely.
together, it's gonna look
Yeah,
nice
it is.
boot,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. And it'll be unique.
I didn't know
Absolutely.
which sole to go for, neither the Corinium one or the Dainite one, but I've decided to go with this one because it's got a slightly deeper tread pattern on it
Yes.
than the Corinium one.
So, Corinium, this sole unit, Goodyear, genuine Goodyear welt, made in England, Corinium. Corinium was taken over by somebody else, weren't they? Who've gone. What do they call them?
No, I think they're still going Corinium.
Are
You're
they?
thinking of Odell, aren't you?
Odell, yeah.
Odell's gone, yeah.
But I thought we can't get this sole anymore.
Yeah, you still get these, yeah.
All right, I'm getting this totally wrong. The
You're
Dainite,
thinking of the It's Hide heels.
yep,
They were Odell, and they've gone, so you can't get them anymore.
right.
But these heels are stupid hard wearing, and I bought quite a lot of them before.
Lovely.
the
Yeah,
web.
the cellar is full of them.
Yeah.
Dainite are doing a heel for this unit now. So this is
Yeah.
this is a completely different sole unit.
There's no in them though. There's nothing in them. Tread pattern slightly different. Wear
Slightly
factor's about
deeper.
Same, I would have
Material
thought.
wise,
This one's a little bit deeper tread.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
material wise, yeah, the wear factor's about the same.
and what's the heel look like? Is it just the same?
To be fair, I haven't got any because I've got lots of the old, these inside ones.
Yeah.
But like I said, these you try and scour them and they just get red hot. They wear like fury.
Yep.
So
Okay.
until I've used all them, I'm not even buying anymore.
Okay. So now from
Have a cup of
here,
tea now?
no,
Oh.
we haven't done yet. From here, you scour into there. You're scouring the sole up. Yep. Bonding that to the shoe.
Yep.
So the next time we see this, we don't need to see you.
Scoured.
Lovely.
I'm not putting that one on.
Okay. The next time we see this,
We'll be
these
stitching it
will
on.
be on there and we'll be going through. Will you groove it?
Yeah.
Yep. We'll be grooving them and stitching them on, and we'll show you that. Okay. Fabulous.
trim some of the thread away. The boot's too narrow for a Commando-soled. It being a fashion boot.
So you're just reshaping the tread pattern, the stitch pattern, yeah.
Yeah.
Or should I say,
Once it's all stitched.
beautiful.
Should be able to sell too much, really.
Okay, so that's what they look like. So
That's the before.
yeah, so you can't, the stitch track, so stitch track round here just disappears. Not enough to get on there. And then there's one that you've reshaped and you've just machined it down.
And now we can stitch round it.
Yeah, stitch round it.
Although
and,
we are gonna groove these.
you're going to groove them and
Put a
blade.
groove in and then Blake stitch it. Blake stitch them on.
Excellent. Okay. We'll come back to you when you're stitching them.
Right, you.
Okay, so stitching them on, and
Took the insole out.
oh, good lad, good lad.
Just have to take it a little bit steadier than normal because I can't see the groove.
Pin that microphone on you there. Look, I can just zoom in.
So I'm stitching a little bit blind.
Yeah. The stitch is behind the tread here, so we can't really see. Put your back into it. So you have taken the insole out, yes?
Yes, absolutely. We don't want that getting tangled up inside now, do we?
No, because just been doing the job too long, haven't you? You wouldn't do that on the other shoe, would you?
No.
So we are stitching right the way through the shoe. We're not stitching on a welt. We're stitching completely through the base of the shoe, which is not ideal, but
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
go on now.
Oh.
Look at that, say that and then you miss a stitch.
Yeah.
Oh. So we draw that stitch in
You'll never know.
with the pen.
You'll never know. It's rock solid compared to what it was.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Bin men outside. Emptying the bins.
They do a sterling job.
They do. Lovely lads.
They empty all the rubbish that the people in the flats put out.
We have to go and say that. We'll spoil it.
And there we go. Snip that one on from the inside.
How does it look inside?
Absolutely pulled everything together up. Rock solid now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So just to explain that horn goes inside the boot. So we're stitching inside to the outside
All the way through,
yeah,
isn't it?
which is, not ideal, but on a boot like this, that's what you have to do. What are they, Paul? What are you working on?
Commando off on a pair of Chini Hurricane, is it? And he's having, what's he having? Ridgeways.
Jace, why have you just got half a midsole there?
Because that's what we're on.
So that's how they're going to go back?
Yeah, I'm just going light for light.
Would you sooner have a full midsole or half midsole's fine?
I think full midsole is better because you don't get the tension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it's all you just got the stitch in there, you've no no chassis, or you've got half a chassis.
Yep, lovely. Anyway, back to these here. These here, they've had Commando on there. Paul's took the tail biz. Are you getting me? Tail biz heel stack off, machined it all up. He's bonded that onto there, and then you had them in the press and press them down, and then you're going to put the heel on here, the Commando heel onto there like that. This has actually got an old one. Look, it's got some old heel stack on there. So Paul will put a Commando heel on there, nail it from the inside with the nailer. Just come around here and I'll just quickly show you that. So this is the nailer. You drop a nail in the side and wallop, down it goes, and it nails the heels on. So the next time we see these, they'll be finished off and polished up, and yeah, they'll be a great boot. Far better than when they left the factory with this big Commando sole unit on. Okay, right, Paul's he's got the heel stack on and he's got the heel on. We're just going to machine this round, and Paul does some jobs for me occasionally, so I'm going to do this for him. Now we're just getting a really nice smooth edge without taking too much out of the heel stack. Definitely without taking too much out of the welt, which is a mock welt anyway, and we want a nice smooth transition. So we've got to rock that carefully and nice and smooth around here. We don't want any angles or anything on there. And then round the edge of the sole. This is the last finish here. Paul's got his arse in way here, but never mind. Lovely, a lovely finish. Oh, there's a little bit there. Look, it's just get that there. Oh, lovely. Knock all this off. Right. So here we are. We've smoothed it off. We'll get all the dust off of it, and yeah. That's all ready for the inking. So we could just go with the clear stain, but we think this brown will look lovely. These marks here are just in the leather. You know, this is a leather that's a waxy leather, and little, look, tiniest little, when we polish over, they'll all disappear, those. Some might be from us, some might be from the customer, but they'll all polish out beautifully. So round there like that. Oh, see it. And I can just feel the weight in this boot now. It's lovely. Feels like a proper boot. Right. So up here for one of Paul's as a box up there full of little pads for taking the excess off. Like that. And then we'll leave that to dry, and this will lighten up a little bit so we can see the leather lifts. And then the same with the other one, coat of polish, jobs are good. Beautiful, what a lovely colour that is. So that's the repair, all done. All stitched, of course, Blake stitched. We've had to machine the sole down to fit, but that looks lovely, doesn't it? Look at the shape there and where it's stitched. Looks absolutely great. Few little bruise marks, we call these bruise marks in the rubber, where the machine has, the table on the machine has touched the rubber and just bruised it a little bit. You do sometimes see that, but that is a solid repair. A lovely boot, obviously a fashion boot, but it's a solid repair. That's gone together really, really nicely. One of the insoles, oh, it's this one here, looks a little bit like it's been machine gunned, and this is me being honest with you. Paul forgot to take the insole out when he stitched it, so he had to stitch this one twice. But it's all stuck down. It's absolutely lovely. Nobody would ever know, even the customer, unless he watches this video. But that's gone together beautifully. Absolutely lovely. What a great repair. Well done, Paul. We'll just put some pictures of these up, and taking it from a fashion boot to a fully stitched 360 degrees round that sole, all stitched down, and new heel stack, new heel. Yeah, it's turned out lovely.